limit yourself. Many people limit themselves simply because they believe they can only achieve certain things. You can go as far as your imagination allows. Remember, when you believe firmly, you can absolutely do it. Mary Kay Ash. Many people walk through life with their eyes cast down, not because the path is too rugged, but because they believe they are only allowed to go a certain distance before they must stop. They compare themselves to others, like birds gazing at the vast sky, but thinking their wings are too weak to fly far, when in reality, strength lies in the will to flap ceaselessly. Imagination, like the wind lifting a bird's wings, can carry people over mountains of fear, across oceans of doubt, to reach horizons that seem impossible. When we dare to believe in our abilities, that faith becomes a flame, warming the cold days of failure, illuminating the dark moments of hesitation. And in that light, we realize that all limits are just shadows, exaggerated by fear. When faith is strong, footsteps become powerful, and people can achieve more than they ever thought, like a tiny seed breaking through hard soil to grow into a tall tree welcoming the sun. Action, for each effort, is a stroke erasing old boundaries, opening new spaces for growth. Believe in yourself. The world seems wider, the sky higher, and life becomes a journey full of hope, where people are no longer bound by small thoughts, but free to reach the best version of themselves. The one with faith is strong. The one with much doubt is weak. Strong faith rises above great actions. Louisa May Alcott. Faith is like an underground stream flowing deep beneath the earth, silently but persistently nourishing a lush forest of will, while doubt is like a thin morning mist, seeming dense but vanishing at the first ray of sunlight, revealing the weakness within. The one with faith walks through storms with a straight back and steady gaze, for they rely not only on the strength of their hands, but are also supported by an invisible power from within. They understand that each challenge is not a wall blocking the way, but a step lifting them higher, like a small stream, persistently eroding hard rock to become a great river. Conversely, those carrying too much doubt often tie themselves in a net of anxiety, fearing to fall before even stepping, thinking their wings are broken before flying. Strong faith needs no ostentatious actions or renowned feats to prove its value. It quietly exists in every courageous decision, every rise after a fall, every moment of not giving up when everything seems to turn away. That strength is the root of all great achievements, for actions are only waves on the sea's surface, while faith is the deep ocean creating the thrust. When people believe in the path they take, each small step carries the weight of hope and determination, gradually drawing a grand journey. And then we realize that it's not great deeds that make people strong, but solid faith that gives birth to all extraordinary things, turning fragile dreams into radiant realities in everyday life. When you judge others, you don't define them, you define yourself. Dyer. Each time people utter judgment, thinking they are illuminating someone else's life, but in reality, they are erecting a mirror reflecting their own inner self. That evaluation is like throwing a stone into a calm lake. Ripples spread outward, but the center of vibration is still where our hand just released. When we hastily label someone as weak, mistaken, or inferior, it's very likely those are the fears, wounds, or limits we haven't yet had the courage to face in ourselves. Judgment is not the light of truth, but often the elongated shadow of the ego, distorted by personal experiences and prejudices. Like someone wearing colored glasses, seeing the world tinted everywhere, we view others through the lens of our emotions and think it's objective reality. In the moment of criticism, we unwittingly paint our own portrait with strokes of harshness, lack of empathy, and silent arrogance. Conversely, when we learn to understand, we also expand our hearts, letting compassion water the arid regions of judgment. Slow down before concluding. For each person carries silent stories that we are unaware of. When we stop scrutinizing others' faults, we begin the journey of discovering and healing ourselves. And then, in the stillness of empathy, we realize that what needs to change is not the world around us, but the inner gaze, where all judgments originate and where kindness can bloom. Simplicity is the hardest thing to grasp in the world. It is the ultimate limit of experience and the final effort of genius. George Sand. Simplicity, at first glance, seeming obvious and easy to attain, but in truth is the pinnacle that people must climb through countless layers of complexity to reach. It is like a calm lake after a long storm, where all turbulence has settled to restore its original clarity. To achieve that simplicity, people not only need to remove external excesses, but also go through an inner filtering journey from accumulated knowledge, rich experiences, to the mistakes and stumbles of life. Each experience is a layer of color, and only when the artist is subtle enough to blend them into a transparent shade does the painting become truly elegant. Simplicity, therefore, is not poverty, but the crystallization of profound understanding, like a short poem containing an entire sky of emotions. It is the final boundary where intellect stops showing off, where beauty appears in purity without adornment. Genius is not measured by the quantity of tangled ideas, but by the ability to distill complexity into something clear and accessible to the heart, like a river after passing through countless bends, finally merging into the vast sea in serenity. People, after a long journey of learning, understand that the deepest value often hides in the simplest things, and at that end point of experience, simplicity becomes the noblest language where intellect, emotions, and beauty meet in absolute purity. Don't expect things to happen according to your wishes, but wish for things to happen as they naturally should. Then your life will flow smoothly. Epictetus. People often enter life with hands clenched around desires, as if happiness only exists when everything revolves around their will. But the tighter the grip, the more fatigue and unease seep into the soul. Don't expect things to happen according to personal wishes, but let them unfold naturally, like the gentle reminder of a river to a leaf. Just float, and the current will carry you to where you need to be. Nature is not hasty, not coercive, but always knows how to arrange everything in its harmonious rhythm, like the 4 seasons cycling for trees to grow and people to mature. When we stop resisting things we can't control, the heart becomes lighter and the mind opens space for peace to reside. Each event, then, is no longer an enemy, but a silent teacher imparting patience, acceptance, and adaptation. Like a boat drifting with the current will go farther than one trying to row upstream. Life flows more smoothly when we learn to go with the flow of reality. This doesn't mean abandoning dreams or giving up effort, but knowing the difference between what we can do and what needs time to arrange. When the heart harmonizes with nature, all anxieties gradually dissolve like morning dew under the sun, making way for a deep sense of tranquility. And in that serenity, we realize that happiness doesn't lie in controlling the world, but in living harmoniously with it, lightly, steadily, and fully in each passing moment. The very day we fear as our last on earth will mark the beginning of eternity. Seneca. People often view their final day with trembling eyes, as if it's a door, closing all light, hope, and love. The key of perception, turning fear into a promise of endless continuation. The day we think is the period may actually be an ellipsis, opening another journey, where time is no longer measured by heartbeats, but by the eternity of the soul. Like a radiant sunset, closing a long day to make way for a sky full of stars. Not absolute darkness, but a deeper, more peaceful beauty. Fear of death often arises from clinging to tangible things, the body, fame, memories. But when released, we realize ourselves like a drop of water, returning to the ocean, not lost, but merged into a boundless vastness. The last day on earth, therefore, is not just the end of breath, but a moment of transformation, where people leave limited forms to enter a dimension of boundless existence. Eternity doesn't have to be something distant and mystical, but can be the continuation of meaning, love, and the imprints we leave in others' hearts. When understood this way, fear gradually subsides, making way for acceptance and peace. We begin to live more fully each day, knowing that each moment doesn't just pass and vanish, but contributes to an eternal flow of existence. And in that realization, death is no longer an enemy, but a gate opening to eternity, where all limits dissolve and life continues in a more miraculous form. Through small steps, we achieve great happiness. Zeno of Citium. Happiness rarely crashes in like a huge wave sweeping the shore, but often quietly forms from tiny drops, persistently gathering into an ocean of peace. The path to joy isn't paved with brilliant flowers, but built with countless simple, persistent, and sometimes very humble moments. Each tiny effort today, one more try, a better decision than yesterday, an anonymous kind act, is like a small brick building a sturdy house of happiness over time. People often rush to reach grand success, forgetting that the ancient tree starts from a fragile seed rooting in dark soil. Those slow steps help us grow, learn patience, and deeply appreciate the value of the journey, not just the destination. When we cherish each small progress, the heart fills with gratitude, and happiness is no longer a luxury in the future, but present in the now. Like a mountain climber, unable to jump to the summit in one leap, but must cling to each solid ledge, life needs perseverance to reach meaningful heights. Over time, small steps accumulate into long strides. Ordinary days crystallize into a fulfilled life. And then we realize that the true magic is in silently advancing each day, for from that, great happiness is born, not noisy, not showy, but profound and enduring, like gentle sunlight, nurturing a lush green field. The true happiness of life is to be freed from all worries. Seneca. People often seek happiness in the radiant peaks of success, in moments of admiration or possessing what they desire. But few realize that the deepest joy comes from the lightness of the soul when all worries are released, like a liberation evoking the image of the sky after a long rain, clear and open, where no dark clouds of fear, pressure, or calculations obscure the dawn's light. Worries are like stones we carry in our chest. The tighter we hold, the heavier they become. The farther we go, the more exhausted. While true happiness only comes when we dare to drop them, to walk lightly, when the mind is no longer imprisoned by fear of the future or regret of the past, we begin to fully feel the beauty of the present. A deep breath becomes precious, a smile enough to warm the heart. That peace is not noisy like fleeting joy, but settles like a cool stream flowing steadily through life's months and years, giving us strength to face challenges without panic, the ability to accept change without suffering. Like a bird truly free only when shaking off the invisible cage of fear, people only touch sustainable happiness when stopping to bind themselves with heavy thoughts. And in that moment of soul liberation, we understand that happiness isn't about gaining something more, but shedding burdens so life passes lightly, serenely, and full of tranquil light. True happiness is enjoying the present without anxious dependence on the future. People often let their minds wander to days yet to come, building countless scenarios for the future, like clouds obscuring the present sky, only to miss the sunshine warming right on their shoulders. True happiness rings like an invitation to return to the living moment, where breath flows rhythmically and the heart retains pristine emotions. The present is like a just bloomed flower, If not bent to admire, it will close its petals quickly without us noticing its beauty. When too busy worrying about what hasn't happened, we steal our own joy, like someone clutching a sand timer, forgetting to savor each quietly falling grain of time. Enjoying the present isn't living recklessly or abandoning tomorrow, but living fully each second with awareness and gratitude. So even small things carry deep meaning. In that moment, a warm cup of tea can become comfort. An ordinary conversation turns into a precious memory when the mind is no longer stretched between fear of the future and regret of the past. We find peace spreading like a calm lake, reflecting the deep blue sky. And that peace nurtures lasting happiness, not dependent on what we don't have, but born from what exists. We understand that life truly happens in the present, and when we cherish each passing moment, happiness is no longer a distant destination, but a gentle companion on every step of life's path. You don't need to figure out exactly who you are. You just need to live your own life. Shane Dawson. People often spend a lot of time asking who they are, as if they are a puzzle needing a complete solution, while life gently suggests that we are not an unchanging definition, but a journey constantly in motion, like dropping the backpack full of labels, expectations, and comparisons that society unwittingly piles on each person's shoulders. Instead of endlessly seeking a perfect description of ourselves, we are invited to experience, collide, err, and grow through each real day lived. Each person's self is like a flowing river. No need to stand still to measure shape, but just flow to create unique bends of its own. When we live fully with our emotions, dreams, and values, our person gradually gets naturally and authentically portrayed, more than any definition. Forcing to know clearly who we are sometimes only causes stress and disorientation, while living true to what we believe brings deep peace. Like a flower not needing to know its species name to spread fragrance, people don't need a fixed mold to live beautifully and meaningfully. Each choice, each experience, is a stroke contributing to a rich life portrait of us. And one day, looking back at the path traveled, we will realize we never needed to search for ourselves. Life has silently shaped us, vibrant, complete, and valuable in an irreplaceable way.